So I can't believe I'm saying this, but the French police have actually killed another young man. It's barely been a week that they shot dead the 17-year-old boy, Naël. And now they've killed another man, Mohamed, 27 years old. And he was killed in Marseille. Now, just to explain the situation to you, the official statement from the public prosecutor is that, you know, there was a violent shock hit against his thorax, his chest, and he had cardiac arrest. The thing is, though, that what caused this violent shock? The police, they shot him with one of these things called a flashball, so a rubber-coated metal bullet. Not exactly, but it's just the French version of it, okay? It's called flashball. It's marketed and sold as one of these like non-lethal armaments, apparently very lethal because he died. Now, this happened 4 days ago, but the scandal about this is just coming out now. Because I can guarantee you the last thing Macron and the French police want right now is that you find out, and the people in France find out, that the police have once again killed an innocent young man who was doing absolutely nothing. You know, just to be very clear, because you're going to have some morons with no empathy and you know, brains who think that, well, he must have been doing something wrong. That's why the police killed him, right? Even if it was an accident. No, he was not. His wife and the public prosecutor have both said that he was not protesting, rioting, looting. The guy is a delivery driver, right? He drives a scooter. He died next to the scooter. Just dropped dead. By the time they found him, he was already gone. You know, the cops, they didn't even bother calling an ambulance, getting him help. No, he's dead. What do you think was the last thing that he did before being killed? He was filming the police. Again, just to be clear, he filmed this with his phone, and his wife gave it to the media. This is the last thing that he filmed.
Pouvoir la voir, qui nous a été donnée par la famille de Mohamed. Ce sont les dernières images tournées par Mohamed avec son.
So you can see it's just a short video. He's filming police that are at quite a distance from him. You know, like in the street. You know, people are. You have multiple French MPs or representatives who are, you know, they're outraged, and they're all saying like the police killed this guy, and they probably killed him because he was filming them, and they don't like them. You know, they don't like being filmed. I don't need to explain this to you. I showed you just a few moments ago some French policeman waving a flashlight in a journalist's camera so they can't film. That's a very mild example, but if you look at the yellow vest protests, I mean, they just like they beat on every moving thing, you know, journalist, not a journalist, it doesn't matter. They're going to beat the crap out of you, you know, with rubber bullets or rubber coated bullets, which are not lethal. You know, they might blind you or kill you, but they're totally fine. You know, tear gas and all these lovely things. So I'm not surprised. Let's say I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that they killed him for filming them. Let's say that he, you know, he was literally just sitting there, which seems to be the case. What justification do they have to kill this guy? They're trying to make it seem like he just dropped dead from a heart attack. That's not what happened. That is not what happened. The only people who have these kinds of bullets and have been known to cause these kinds of deaths and injuries are the police. Nobody else has them. You know, if you want to talk about, oh, maybe he died from smoke inhalation or fire or something, and maybe it was one of the rioters who threw a Molotov cocktail. That's not what happened. He died because of a bullet hitting his chest and giving him cardiac arrest, and he died, and instant death. You know, and that indicates the police did it. All of these French MPs on the left are coming out now and saying the police did it, and they are trying to hide it. And this is once again, we go back to this issue of systemic violence in the police. And it's not necessarily a French issue, but it is an issue in France. I think this is outrageous. And just to give you another example, guess what? There's another person who is not dead, but now is in a coma. Because of what? Because of the police shooting him with a beanie bag. It's one of these so-called non-lethal weapons, right? Like they claim. They put it in their riot guns and fire it at you, and it can put you in a coma or kill you or bruise you or take out your eye or whatever, depending on how close you are or how far you are. So again, just to be clear, the first man I was talking about, who is now dead in Marseille, his name is Mohamed, 27. Emen Buha. Okay, 25 years old. And this happened where? In Mont-Saint-Martin. To complicate things further, he's not even in hospital in France right now. How's that possible? It's right on the border between Luxembourg and Belgium. So I think he was in Luxembourg with 2 friends. They were going shopping or something. And now, because it's so close to the Belgian border, they just took him to hospital in Belgium. Now, of course, you know, if you're a European citizen or resident, and especially if because it's a Schengen zone, you can just go in, you know, you can walk into one country or the other. There's no real border. But, you know, that's another issue. But bureaucratically speaking, the French are making it more difficult now to find out what happened, because they say, well, he's not actually here. We don't know what really happened because it involves Luxembourg and Belgium. You know, it's very practical for them, right? So now he's in a coma after being shot in the head with a beanbag. And this was fired at him, not by the French police, but the RAID, so RAID. They're basically, again, they're like the, you know, a highly specialized version of the riot police, okay? So when his family went to the police station to file a complaint for putting him in a coma, the police told them that they weren't even out policing the streets. It was the RAID units. And these are, again, like the CRS, they're some of the most violent units in the French police, you know? And again, you know, if you, let me put it another way. Let's say that the police are completely innocent angels and they mean no harm to anybody and they're just trying to do their jobs, and, you know, this ammunition that they're using is completely safe. Look, if you are unable to control people without putting them in a coma or killing them, you're not fit to be in the police. You shouldn't be doing anything like this. Remember, you are a public servant. You are not a vigilante. You are not God. You are a public servant. You serve these people that you are killing and putting in comas. You don't have the right to do this. This is not just excessive force. It's you know, borderline murder, manslaughter. You know, keep in mind, none of these boys were looting, protesting, rioting. This guy's in his car. The excuse, let me show you something. The excuse for killing 13 people last year and 2 people this year in France, including Naël, was that, oh, they refused to comply. They were in a vehicle and they wouldn't stop. So we just had to shoot them. We had to kill them because they were a threat to us and others, and we had no choice, right? That's the 2017 law. In this case, MN, the 25-year-old in a coma, he was in his car. The police didn't stop him. No one asked him to stop. There was no refusal to comply. There was no reason to even shoot him in the first place with this non-lethal ammunition. So the conclusion that I draw from this behavior, which is, I mean, this is outrageous. So in the span of a week, they've killed 2 young men who incidentally are both Muslims and Arabs. And then now another person. I mean, once again, I really don't care what religion they are. In France, you're French. Right. The point is they've killed 2 young men and put a third in a coma. What kind of policing is this? You shouldn't be in the police if you can't handle traffic stops and you know, get people to comply without killing them. You know, refusal to comply does not mean you can execute me. Do you understand? I don't know why I have to explain this, but this is insane. This is insane, and this is why the riots are not going to stop. I mean, I can bet you, I guarantee you, anything you like, the French government right now are fucking scrambling, trying to prevent these stories from getting out on social media. You know why? Because the riots started after the police lied, and then somebody posted a video of the shooting on social media. It went viral and it showed that the police and the government were lying. The video contradicted them, and it's just because of that people are up in arms, and perhaps rightfully so. But Macron is going to war with social media. He's openly saying, I want to censor accounts, content that is dangerous to public order, whatever the hell that means. That is a blanket, broad, you know, ambiguous brush to paint things with. You might as well just ban every journalist and human being. With, you know, if he's embarrassed. He does not want people to see France, you know, up in arms and in ruins. because he wants people to come and enjoy France like it's some kind of touristy, attraction. I mean, it is the number one country visited by tourists, or at least Paris is. So it's bad for business. It's bad for his image as a politician. That he can't get his house in order. That his police are out of control. And now the fact that this has happened again, that the police have killed a young boy or young man, right, 27, and now put another in a coma. I mean, if people find out in France the way that they found out about Nayed last week, the rioting is going to continue. Emen is now, as I said, in Belgium, in hospital in Arlon. His mother is 49 years old. They write here about how she receives visitors, elected officials, young people from their district, and so on. And they all come to give their their best wishes and so on. But I suppose that it's not enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Now the police in France, they have something called IGPN. So Inspection Générale de la Police Nationale, and the whole point of IGPN is basically to police the police. Okay. Now on paper, this looks like a marvelous thing. They're going to keep them in check. Usually that's not the case, right? They cover for each other. So I don't think that anything is going to happen, even though right now for Emen, they say here that the prosecutor, Val de Brie court, has opened now an inquiry for violence. They say violence volontaire. So basically just like, trigger happy, being trigger happy. Yeah, I mean, okay, they're investigating them. So what? Do you really think that there's going to be any justice? How do you get someone out of a coma or bring them back from the dead? You can't really do that. So, the solution here is not to like put people in check afterwards. It's to do it before, so you avoid this thing happening in the first place. But I doubt that that's going to take place, because right now, the police, I mean, they're threatening. They have threatened what you could call a mutiny. They were talking about a mutiny in Russia. I read to you the communique that the biggest police union in France put out a few days ago, where they say they're going to take things into their own hands. So again, basically break the law and become vigilantes. Judge, jury, and executioner. So they're out of control already. And keep in mind, you have 40,000 police that are deployed in France. There's now an investigation open because apparently the military have been deployed in secret. Whether they've done that of their own accord, of their own free will, or whether the government sent them. I mean, both are equally scandalous, right? And I would imagine it's the latter, because Macron doesn't want people to know that the situation is out of control. So I would imagine he doesn't want to declare a state of emergency like you had in 2005. He wants to maybe send in some special forces, and the people that by the way, the anonymous soldier that they interviewed, who was with riot police in the streets, said that he had been in multiple conflict zones. I'm imagining that Sahel region in Africa and probably Middle East. The police, they just send in these raid units, right? And the CRS, and they just beat everybody up. They beat everybody up. If people find out what's happening, oh my god. But like I said, if this were happening in Russia, oh my god. You want to talk about a mutiny? How about the police union saying they're going to take the law into their own hands? I consider that a mutiny. 40,000 strong. It's actually 45,000 now that we know of. 45,000 compared to what? Prigozhin's 25, right? They claimed it was 25, or he claimed it was 25. I mean, obviously these are apples and oranges. As dangerous and lethal as the riot police are in France, as the CRS is. Wagner, of course, we're talking about combat veterans and so on. But I think my point is well taken.